Greetings from Mission Control Houston, and welcome to Space Station Live. It's Tuesday, September 10th, 2013. You're joining us here inside of the International Space Station Flight Control Room at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. Right now, the Orbit 2 team currently on console watching the systems and the crew of the International Space Station. Right now, they're being led by Flight Director Mike Lammers there on your right, and then right next to him, seated at the Capcom position, is Lucia McCullough, serving as the voice communication link between all of our teams down here on the ground and the astronauts up in space. And those astronauts, the crew of Expedition 36, in their final day as Expedition 36, soon to be Expedition 37, when 3 of those crew members prepare to depart later this evening. The 3 leaving, NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy and Russian cosmonauts Pavel Vinogradov and Alexander Mazurkin, are scheduled to depart the International Space Station later tonight as they bring an end to a little under 6 months on board the International Space Station. The 3 remaining on board, NASA astronaut Karen Nyberg, Russian cosmonaut Fyodor Yurchikhin, and European astronaut Luca Parmitano, will formally become Expedition 37, with Russian cosmonaut Fyodor Yurchikhin taking the role of commander, which he received from Pavel Vinogradov yesterday in a change of command ceremony. But again, 3 of those astronauts spending much of their day readying for that departure. Departing Commander Pavel Vinogradov, now designated Flight Engineer 1 since passing the reins of command over, is in charge of preparing the Soyuz vehicle for its final descent, getting all the final items packed on board and preparing its systems while working in concert with Russian flight controllers, the Russian Mission Control Center in Koryov. Aside from finishing up all of that packing, he'll be doing some photography of the external surface of the Soyuz's hatch between it and the International Space Station. Again, Vinogradov will be the commander of that vehicle during its descent, with undocking scheduled to take place later tonight at 6:35 p.m. Central Time. Joining him on the Soyuz will be Alexander Mazurkin, a fellow Russian cosmonaut. He's spending a few hours today getting all of the experiment samples, a small contingent of which will be brought back in the Soyuz's limited cargo capacity space. Among those is the Russian Cascade bioreactor, which looks to develop new technology to produce microorganisms with an increased resistance to some of the common factors of biological preparation, storage, and use, such as freezing and drying. Aside from that, he'll also be the board engineer, or the second in command, basically. Vinogradov's backup on that Soyuz craft. And the third member of the departing vehicle, NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy, again bringing an end to his second space flight. Cassidy will have logged a total of 182 days in space now. He'll be spending most of his day preparing for that descent, getting all of his items in order, and then finally donning his suit and getting ready to depart. Remaining on board the International Space Station, new commander Fyodor Yurchikhin, who took command of the station yesterday afternoon after the traditional change of command ceremony. He's been tasked with drying out the Russian Orlan EVA suits after they've been undergoing some scheduled maintenance following some successful spacewalks over the summer. And he'll also be in charge of monitoring the Soyuz as it descends through the Earth's atmosphere, maintaining contact with the crew from the International Space Station, also setting up and activating the device that allows the station to receive telemetry from that vehicle during its descent. Remaining on board with him will be European astronaut Luca Parmitano. On the docket for him today is continuing some work that he began yesterday, preparing the station's combustion integrated rack for some upcoming experiment work. He'll be installing some alignment guides, which help isolate it from some of the vibration environment of the International Space Station. That combustion integrated rack, the only combustion research facility on board. He'll also be transferring some experiment samples over to the Soyuz for return, mainly from the immuno experiment, which looks to study the immune responses in humans during their long-duration space flights. This study hoping to provide a very fundamental understanding of the process so scientists on the ground can develop better pharmacological tools to counter any unwanted immune side effects of these long duration space flights. Then our final crew member on board, NASA astronaut Karen Nyberg, is spending much of her day inside of the Japanese experiment module. Right now, she's been inspecting the Ice Crystal 2 experiment, some of the samples which are currently located in the Solution Crystallization Observation Facility, a rack inside the Japanese segment which allows investigations of crystal growth in microgravity. She's also doing some final uh, preparation work for the upcoming Cygnus vehicle, which will be launching to the International Space Station next week in its first demo flight, delivering cargo on behalf of the Orbital Sciences Corporation, fulfilling their final milestones in the Commercial Orbital Transportation Services contract and bringing a second commercial provider online to resupplying the International Space Station. But for now, all eyes focused on that landing later tonight. Again, undocking scheduled at 6:35 p.m. Central Time. The crew will depart and we'll be bringing you live coverage throughout. Deorbit burn still targeted at 9:05 p.m. Central, with an eventual landing at 9:58 p.m. Central Time, the crew touching down in Kazakhstan.